You think worry protects you, but what if it's the very thing destroying you from the inside out? Worry is a useless mulling over of things we cannot change. Buddha. Right now, you're probably caught in that endless loop, trying to fix things, plan ahead, hold it all together. But deep down, don't you feel it? The more you try to control life, the more it slips through your fingers. That's not an accident, it's a sign, because Buddhist wisdom doesn't just suggest letting go, it demands it. In a world addicted to overthinking and overwhelm, this video offers something rare, stillness that speaks louder than your fears. Why do we worry? Why do we believe our anxious thoughts are somehow useful? And what would your life look like if you finally released the grip? What if the peace you're begging for isn't waiting for you in the future? It's waiting for you to stop fighting the present. Stay with us. You're about to learn 12 radical insights that will not only shatter the myth of control, but show you exactly how monks and masters turn chaos into calm. One of the most powerful lessons is at the very end. Don't miss it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "Surrender is the real strength." If you're going to get anything out of this video, just get that. That's all you need to know in life. 1. Worry is a prayer for what you don't want. Why do we keep replaying worst-case scenarios in our minds? Why does the same storm circle again and again in silence, long after the winds have stopped? You wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing. Not because something has happened, but because something might. And in that space between what is and what if, you build prisons out of possibilities. The mind imagines storms, even when the sky is still. Worry is like watering weeds and wondering why the flowers won't bloom. You feed the fear, you nurse the doubt. You cradle the anxiety like it's a fragile truth, when all along, it's just noise dressed as preparation. Buddhist philosophy teaches this simple but powerful idea. Worry is a prayer for what you don't want. Every thought you dwell in is a seed. What you repeat, you reinforce. So when you constantly visualize disaster, you're unknowingly rehearsing it into reality. There's a story of a man who carried an umbrella every day, even through years of drought. When asked why, he said, "It might rain." But his back ached, his hands were tired, and he never once used the umbrella. In the same way, how many emotional burdens are you carrying just in case? What would your mind feel like if you put them down? Take a deep breath. Picture each worry as a leaf, gently resting on your open palm. Now, let it fall, again and again. This is mindfulness, not the absence of thought, but the conscious choice not to cling. The Buddha didn't teach us to control everything. He taught us to see clearly and release what brings suffering. So pause and ask yourself, what fears are you feeding unconsciously? Are they even yours? Or inherited patterns, replayed habits of survival? And deeper still, what if peace is what happens when you stop preparing for pain? When you stop worrying, life doesn't suddenly become perfect, but it becomes possible. Energy you once spent on fear is now free for creation. Time once lost in overthinking returns as presence. And where you once stood frozen in doubt, now you move, with calm, with courage, with clarity. Here's your truth. You don't need to predict the future to find peace. You need to let go of your obsession with controlling it. Let life breathe. Let it surprise you. When you stop worrying, that's when life starts working. Worry is the illusion of control whispering in fear's voice. Let it go, and life will finally have space to move for you. 2. The illusion of control is the root of suffering. Are we really in control, or just addicted to the idea of it? Every day, we plan, calculate, prepare, and rehearse, believing that if we manage every detail, life won't surprise us. But have you noticed? The more you try to control things, the more they seem to slip away. The tighter you grip, the more slips through. That's not failure, it's truth. That's not weakness, it's nature. Think of water. Try to cup it gently in your hands, and it stays. Squeeze it harder, and it pours through your fingers. Control is the same. The more desperate you are to hold on to people, outcomes, identities, the more you suffer. Because the world is not made to be controlled, it is made to be experienced. And peace isn't found in mastery over life, but in surrender to it. Buddhism teaches that clinging is suffering. The illusion of control is a trap we build out of fear. You don't cling to outcomes because you love them. You cling because you fear what happens if they change. But life will change. The question is, will you flow with it or fight it? Pause for a moment. Inhale deeply. Now exhale slowly and just let the breath leave. You didn't hold it. You didn't force it to stay. You simply allowed it to pass. That is the lesson. Not everything is meant to be held. Some things, like breath, like moments, like people, are meant to be released. Ask yourself, where are you gripping too tightly? Is it a relationship you're trying to fix? A career path that no longer aligns? A self-image that's become too heavy to maintain? What would happen if you allowed life to move without resistance? Would it fall apart, or would it finally fall into place? Letting go isn't giving up. It's giving space. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Because the moment you stop wrestling with life, life can finally show you where it's trying to lead you. It's in this surrender that real strength is born. A strength rooted not in force, but in freedom. So stop trying to control every wave. Become the ocean instead. Feel the rise and fall without fear. And remember, you are not here to tighten your grip. You are here to open your hands and trust the current. Peace begins where control ends. Loosen your hold and let life finally hold you. 3. Letting go is a sacred skill. Is detachment giving up or rising above? That's the question most of us wrestle with when we hear the words let go. We think it means apathy, disconnection, defeat. But what if it's the opposite? What if letting go is not weakness, but wisdom, not loss, but liberation? Freedom is not getting what you want, but needing less. And in that needing less, you return to peace. There's a sacred strength in letting go because it requires trust. Trust in life, trust in timing, and most of all, trust in yourself. Like a bird leaving the nest, letting go is not falling. It's how we learn to fly. It's how we realize that our wings were always there. We were just too afraid to open them. Buddhist teachings remind us that attachment is the root of suffering. We cling to people, to outcomes, to our ideas of how life should be. And slowly, silently, we become drained, not by life itself, but by our refusal to release what no longer belongs. Holding on doesn't preserve peace, it prevents it. True clarity often begins the moment you finally loosen your grip. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine invisible cords tied to your heart. One for every thought that weighs you down. One for every expectation, every old hurt, every fear you're still trying to manage. Now gently, cut just one of those cords. Feel your chest rise. Do it again. Feel the space it creates. This is the sacred practice of surrender. This is how you begin again. So ask yourself now, what attachment is silently draining your energy? Is it an old identity you've outgrown? A relationship held together by habit, not love? Or a future you're obsessing over because the present feels too uncertain? And deeper still, are you ready to release what no longer serves your peace? Letting go is not about walking away, it's about walking toward a deeper truth. It's choosing growth over familiarity, presence over control, peace over perfection. Life is constantly offering to carry you forward, but only when your hands are free. When you stop trying to force outcomes, a quiet power rises. You begin to move through life with grace, not grasping. You stop chasing and you start flowing. This is where life starts working, not when you get everything you want, but when you stop being a prisoner to what you don't need. Letting go isn't losing, it's choosing yourself over your fears. That's not giving up, that's rising. 4. Stillness is not emptiness, it's power. Why do we fear silence when it's the only place where truth whispers? We fill our lives with noise, scrolling, talking, planning, worrying, because silence feels too empty, too exposed. But in that fear, we miss something sacred. Because stillness is not emptiness, it's power. It's where clarity lives, where illusion falls away, and where your truest self rises from the quiet. Imagine a lake. When the water is still, it mirrors the sky. Every cloud, every star, every truth, reflected with perfect clarity. But stir it with wind and waves, and even the brightest sun becomes distorted. Your mind is the same. In constant movement, your vision becomes blurred. You can't see things as they are, only as your emotions twist them to be. Buddhist wisdom doesn't tell us to run from the world, but to sit with it, to become still within the movement. Because only then can we see beyond our mental storms. Stillness is the doorway to wisdom, not because it gives you control, but because it dissolves the illusion that you needed control in the first place. In stillness, truth whispers, but you must be quiet enough to hear it. Close your eyes now. Don't search for a sound. Instead, listen for the silence beneath the sound, that subtle space, that gentle pause. That is where your answers wait. Not in the opinions of others, not in tomorrow's plans, but in the space between your thoughts. That is the temple of peace, and you carry it within. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you truly sat with silence? Not to escape, not to numb, but to listen. What truth have you been avoiding in the noise? The mind will resist. It will say, do more, fix this, worry about that. But wisdom doesn't shout. It never competes with chaos. It waits. And the moment you pause, it speaks. Stillness doesn't mean inaction. It means intentionality. It means moving from alignment, not anxiety. Responding, not reacting. It is strength, refined through patience. And in a world that glorifies busy, your calm will feel radical. But that calm is your compass. It will take you where striving never could. You don't need to figure everything out today. You don't need to chase answers. You simply need to become still enough to receive them. And when you do, you'll realize life was never as complicated as your fear made it seem. The most powerful move is often no move at all, just stillness and trust. 5. You are not your thoughts. If you're not your thoughts, who are you? That question has the power to shake the foundation of everything you've believed about yourself. We live most of our lives inside a voice that never stops talking, narrating, judging, fearing, planning. But here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them. The sky is never harmed by the clouds. Imagine your awareness as the vast, open sky. Thoughts are just passing clouds, some heavy, some light, some stormy. But none of them can damage the sky. They come, they go. But the sky remains untouched, unchanged, infinitely spacious. In the same way, your true nature isn't the fear you feel. It's the space that notices the fear. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that clinging to thoughts is what creates suffering, not the thoughts themselves. Most people don't think, they identify with thinking. A fearful thought arises, and instead of witnessing it, they become it. A voice says, "I'll fail," and suddenly you're living inside failure before anything even happens. But mindfulness invites a different way. It says, notice the thought, label it, thinking, and then let it float away like a cloud dissolving into sky. Pause now and ask yourself, what thought has ruled you lately? Maybe it's a story that says you're not enough, or a fear that says the worst is coming. Now ask, can you watch it instead of becoming it? Sit with it. Observe the tone, the sensation, the energy, and then release it. You are the awareness, not the content. There's a deep calm in realizing that not every thought deserves your belief. Some are old habits, some are echoes of fear, some aren't even yours. They were passed down to you. But you have a choice now. You can return to that open sky within you. And when you do, you stop reacting. You start responding. You begin to live from clarity, not chaos. Worry thrives in identification. But peace begins the moment you realize you can watch your mind without getting lost in it. You can let thoughts pass without giving them a throne. You can choose which ones stay and which ones drift away. This is the power of mindfulness, not to fix every thought, but to free yourself from being controlled by them. You are not the storm, you are the sky beyond it. When you stop believing every thought, you don't lose your mind, you find your peace. 6. Worry lives in the future, life lives now. Why do we time travel to tomorrow's problems when today is right here, waiting for us to live it? We play out scenarios that haven't happened, fear conversations that may never come, and plan for disasters that exist only in our minds. But worry is not preparation. It's mental exhaustion disguised as responsibility. Today is the only place peace can breathe. You can't find calm in a moment you haven't arrived in yet. Worrying about the future is like trying to taste food you haven't cooked yet. No matter how much you imagine, you won't be nourished. In fact, you end up starving yourself of the present moment. Life doesn't happen tomorrow. It's unfolding now, right here, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in the sound around you. But the more you drift into what might go wrong, the more you miss what is going right. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that suffering often comes not from life itself, but from our resistance to it. And worry is a form of resistance. It's saying, this moment isn't enough. I need to brace for what's next. But the truth is, nothing exists outside of now. The future is just a thought. The past is just a memory. Only this moment is real. Right now, pause and name 3 things around you. Feel the air on your skin. Notice the texture of what's beneath your hands. Listen to a sound without labeling it. That's presence. That's your anchor. When you practice coming back to now, you reclaim your power. Because in the now, there is no worry, only awareness. Ask yourself, where does your mind wander when you're anxious? Is it a version of yourself you're afraid to become? A loss you're trying to avoid? A story that hasn't yet been written? And now ask, what beauty are you missing in the present because you're too busy protecting a future that doesn't exist yet? That smile from a stranger, that sip of tea, that one quiet moment of peace that passed unnoticed. Worry keeps you in a constant state of waiting. But life is not waiting, it's happening, whether you're present for it or not. And if you truly want peace, you must meet it where it lives, not in the next chapter, but in the sentence you're living now. You'll never find peace in a moment that hasn't come. Breathe deep. Life is only ever waiting for you, right now. 7. Not everything deserves your energy. What if overcaring is actually self-abandonment? We often confuse love with overextension, compassion with exhaustion, presence with people-pleasing. But not everything or everyone deserves your energy. You only have so much of it. And when you spend it on what drains you, there's none left for what nourishes you. Peace begins where attention ends, and attention is your most valuable currency. Imagine walking through a jungle and watering every plant you see, even the poisonous ones. That's what it's like when you give your energy to every worry, every opinion, every drama that calls your name. Some thoughts aren't worth engaging, some battles aren't worth fighting, and some people aren't meant to hold space in your life. Buddhist teachings guide us to discernment, not detachment from humanity, but clarity in connection. Mindfulness isn't just about presence, it's also about protection. It's knowing when your peace is being traded for approval, when your calm is being swallowed by chaos that was never yours to carry. You are not required to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are allowed to walk away from people, from habits, from thoughts that no longer align with your truth. Take a moment now. Visualize a boundary of light around you, gentle but strong. This is not a wall. It's not closing you off from the world. It's holding your energy sacred. Anything that does not honor your peace stops at that boundary. This is your practice today, to be present but not penetrated by everything. Ask yourself, what are you giving energy to that never gives back? Is it an endless loop of overthinking? A person who only shows up when they need something? A fear that's never become real but still runs your mind like a master? And deeper still, can you reclaim that power now? Not by doing more, but by choosing less, more consciously. You don't have to care about everything to be kind. You don't have to carry everything to be strong. Real power is not loud. It's selective. It's knowing that your energy creates your reality. And if you want a life of peace, you must guard that energy like the sacred force it is. So breathe and bring your energy back to you. Every time you say no to chaos, you say yes to your clarity. And from that space, life starts flowing, quietly, effortlessly, truthfully. The moment you stop feeding what drains you, your peace returns home, because not everything deserves your light. 8. Detach with love, not resentment. Can you let go without becoming cold? We often think detachment means shutting down, building walls, or hardening our hearts. But real detachment isn't rooted in bitterness. It's born from clarity. You don't have to hate something to be done with it. You can choose peace over resentment. You can love and still let go. Because sometimes clinging is not proof of love. It's resistance to truth. Imagine holding a balloon. At first, it brings joy. But after a while, your hand begins to ache and the string cuts into your skin. Still, you hold on because of what it once meant or what you hoped it would become. But what if the most compassionate thing you can do is let it rise? Like releasing a balloon to the sky, not with anger, but with grace. That's detachment with love. It's the art of saying, I value this, but I no longer need to carry it. Buddhism reminds us that attachment is the root of suffering, but detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means spaciousness. It means freeing both yourself and the other from the burden of forced expectations. Whether it's a relationship, a dream, or even a version of yourself, you can release it with compassion, not conflict. Try this now. Whisper to yourself, I release you with peace. Let those words echo in your chest. Feel what softens when you stop gripping. Because the truth is, not everything has to end in pain. Sometimes we hold on simply because we're afraid of the emptiness. But emptiness is not the end, it's the beginning. A space for something honest, something aligned to enter. Ask yourself, what are you still holding onto with clenched fists? Is it a person who's already drifted, a dream that no longer fits, or a story about who you thought you were supposed to be? Now ask, can you honor it and still release it? Can you thank it for the lessons, the beauty, the time, and let it rise? Letting go with love doesn't weaken you, it completes you. It means you're no longer acting from fear or resentment, but from understanding. And in that understanding, something inside you settles. Your breath deepens, your heart opens, and suddenly life begins to move again with softness, not struggle. Detachment isn't turning your back, it's opening your hands, not to push something away, but to let it leave, with love. 9. Resistance makes the moment unbearable. Is suffering in the situation or in the resistance to it? Life brings waves, some soft, some crashing. Pain, like the tide, is part of the human experience. But suffering, that lingering ache we carry, is often something we create. Pain is a visitor. Suffering is refusing to open the door. When we resist what's already happening, we add layers of tension, fear, and judgment to an already difficult moment. We try to outrun the rain instead of learning to feel it without drowning. Imagine standing at the edge of the sea, palms open, trying to push the waves back. Futile, exhausting, endless. Like trying to stop the ocean with your hands. The struggle is the suffering. Life doesn't ask us to control the tide. It invites us to trust that the tide will rise and fall, and that we can rise and fall with it. Resistance is saying, this shouldn't be happening. Acceptance is whispering, it is, and I can meet it. Buddhism teaches us that the root of suffering lies not in pain itself, but in the stories we attach to it. We add "why me" to grief. This is unfair to discomfort. I can't handle this to fear. And suddenly, the moment becomes unbearable. Not because of its weight, but because we're dragging it in every direction, but now. But when you surrender, not as defeat, but as deep presence, you take your first breath back. Say this softly. This moment is allowed, not because it's what you wanted, but because it's already here. Allow it to exist without adding resistance. Allow yourself to soften, even in pain. In that space, clarity returns. And with clarity comes calm, not because the storm ends, but because you've stopped thrashing inside it. Ask yourself, what moment are you currently rejecting? A decision you didn't choose? A truth you didn't expect? A feeling you wish you could avoid? Now ask, can you surrender just for now, not forever? Just for one breath, one pause, one heartbeat of grace. See what opens when you stop bracing against life and begin flowing with it. There's a quiet strength in meeting reality without flinching. Not because you love the pain, but because you love your peace more than your resistance. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. Your suffering starts to dissolve, and all that remains is presence. You can't stop the wave, but you can stop fighting it, and when you do, you learn to float. 10. Trust the unseen flow. Can you believe in something before it's visible? That's one of life's most difficult invitations, to trust when there's no proof, to move forward when the path hasn't revealed itself. But just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Not all things that work can be seen working. Some of the most powerful transformations happen quietly, beneath the surface of your awareness. Think of roots. When a tree is first planted, nothing appears to change for days, even weeks. But underneath, in the dark soil, roots are spreading deep and wide, creating the strength that will one day support its growth. Like roots growing silently underground, unseen but essential. The same is true of your journey. What feels like stillness may be preparation. What feels like confusion may be recalibration. Trusting the unseen doesn't mean ignoring your fears, it means not feeding them. We often want immediate signs. We crave clarity, results, guarantees. But Buddhism teaches that clinging to outcomes only creates suffering. Life unfolds in its own rhythm, and your task is not to rush it, but to remain open to it. When you're too focused on what's missing, you miss what's forming. And sometimes what's forming is far better than what you were chasing. Breathe now, deeply. Breathe in trust, breathe out fear. Let those words settle into your chest. Not everything has to be figured out right now. Some seasons are meant for rooting, not blooming. Some answers arrive only after we've learned to live the questions. Ask yourself, what's unfolding in your life that you don't fully understand yet? Is it a change you didn't ask for? A door that closed before you were ready? A chapter that refuses to end? Now ask, can you trust the process? Not because you know the destination, but because you trust yourself to navigate the journey. Life often works in ways that don't make sense until much later. And worrying about how it should look only disconnects you from how it is working. Progress isn't always loud. Growth doesn't always announce itself. But when you stay present, patient, and open-hearted, you begin to notice it. In your responses, in your peace, in the way you no longer need to force everything. Let go of the need to see it all. Let life reveal itself in time. You are being shaped, held, and prepared, even when it feels uncertain. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. Some of life's deepest magic works in silence. 11. When you stop worrying, you start receiving. Worry feels like control, doesn't it? Like a tight grip on the steering wheel of life. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if worry is what blocks the blessings from reaching you? Think about it. The open hand receives more than the clenched fist. And yet, we often walk through life with our fists clenched around fear, control, and imagined disasters, leaving no room for peace to enter. The truth is, life cannot pour into what is already full. When your mind is crowded with what-ifs, you miss the quiet what-is that's already unfolding in your favor. You were not born to brace for disaster. You were born to receive guidance, healing, joy, clarity. But receiving requires trust. It means loosening the grip on how things should be and allowing space for how things are meant to be. Like opening a window to let in the breeze, sometimes all life needs from you is a little space. Like a window cracked open, life flows in when space is made. Pause. Take a breath. Visualize your heart expanding open like a lotus. With every exhale, imagine letting go of one thing you can't control. With every inhale, allow space for something unexpected and beautiful to enter. This is where real change begins, not with effort, but with surrender. When you stop fighting the current, you begin to float. When you stop worrying, you start receiving. It's not weakness to release worry, it's wisdom. Because the moment you stop obsessing over outcomes, you begin to align with them. The right people, ideas, and opportunities can finally find you when your energy isn't blocking the doorway. Ask yourself, what might life be trying to give you if you finally made space? Is it peace? Is it healing? Is it a deeper kind of freedom? Sometimes blessings aren't missing. They're just waiting for your permission to arrive. Worry is loud, but wisdom whispers. And it says, make space. Trust the timing. Drop the story. Receive the moment. You don't have to do more to get more. Sometimes you just have to let go. So, what does your soul long to receive right now? Can you open your hands and your heart long enough to allow it in? Worry clenches, but trust opens. Let go and let the blessings flow. Bonus lesson. Peace is the natural state. Worry is the distraction. Peace isn't something you chase. It's something you remember. It was always there, underneath the noise, the tension, the restless thoughts. Like a mirror beneath a layer of dust, your natural state is stillness, clarity, calm. But we've forgotten that. We've mistaken the dust for the mirror. We think we need to fix ourselves, when the truth is far simpler. We need to uncover ourselves. Worry is not your identity. It's a habit, a distraction, a fog that convinces you that the world is unsafe, that you must stay on high alert, that something will go wrong if you don't overthink every step. But ask yourself, how many times has your worrying ever truly saved you? And how many times has it robbed you of the moment you were actually living? Buddhism teaches that peace is not earned. It's remembered, because it was never gone. The moon is always full, even when hidden by clouds. Just because you can't feel peace doesn't mean it has disappeared. It's simply been covered. And worry is often that cloud. But clouds pass, they always do. Beneath every anxious storm is the same calm sky, your inner truth waiting to be seen again. Take a breath. Imagine your heart like a mirror. With every exhale, you're gently wiping away the layer of worry. Beneath it, the shine is still there, the gem of who you truly are, untouched by fear, radiant in its stillness. Imagine uncovering that gem beneath layers of dirt. That's what mindfulness is, not adding something new, but returning to what was already true. You are not broken, you are buried. Buried under the noise of the world, the pressure to prove, the fear of not being enough. But beneath it all, peace is not just possible, it's your default. Worry is the lie that keeps you from remembering. And in this very moment, you can return. Not by force, but by presence. By noticing this breath, this feeling, this now. So ask yourself gently, what would your life feel like without the habit of worry? Who would you be if you were no longer tangled in imagined futures? If you stopped distracting yourself from your own light? The invitation isn't to change, it's to come home. Can you return home? To yourself? You are not the storm. You are the sky it passes through. Peace isn't missing. It's just waiting for you to remember. Quick summary of the principle. Worry is a prayer for what you don't want. Worry pulls your mind into fear and negativity, often reinforcing the very outcomes you wish to avoid. It's a cycle of imagined danger that tricks your nervous system into reacting. You don't protect yourself by worrying, you imprison yourself. Awareness is the first exit. The illusion of control is the root of suffering. Much of our suffering stems from trying to control what's outside of us. The Buddhist path reminds us that peace arises not from control, but from surrender. What you fight owns you. What you accept transforms. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. Letting go is a sacred skill. True letting go is a deliberate, conscious act, not an emotional outburst or retreat. It is the art of softening the grip, detaching with care, and choosing peace over persistence. Like any skill, it deepens with practice. Stillness is not emptiness, it's power. Stillness is often misunderstood as laziness or passivity. But in spiritual terms, stillness is pure presence, the state where clarity, intuition, and inner guidance arise. In stillness, the mind resets and the soul speaks. You are not your thoughts. Most suffering begins with identification, mistaking your thoughts for truth. But your thoughts are only mental weather. Recognizing the distance between you and your thinking is the first taste of mental liberation. Worry lives in the future. Life lives now. Anxiety thrives on imagined futures. Yet the only moment we ever truly live in is the now. Peace begins the moment we stop time traveling in our heads and root ourselves fully in this breath, this step, this second. Not everything deserves your energy. Your attention is your power. When you give it to things that are chaotic, toxic, or irrelevant, you dilute your own life force. You are allowed to conserve your peace and protect your emotional energy. Detach with love, not resentment. Detachment does not require bitterness. In fact, real spiritual detachment happens through love, forgiveness, and grace. You release not to punish, but to preserve your own inner space. Resistance makes the moment unbearable. Much of what we call suffering is actually resistance to what is. When we fight the present moment, we multiply pain. Surrender allows us to face discomfort without amplifying it. Trust the unseen flow. You don't need to understand everything to move forward. Trusting the unseen, life's intelligence, the universe, or your deeper self, opens a sense of calm faith. The work is happening, even when you can't see it. When you stop worrying, you start receiving. Worry blocks the natural flow of life. It keeps your energy closed, your mind distracted, and your heart guarded. The moment you release it, you create the space to receive clarity, ease, and even unexpected blessings. Peace is the natural state. Worry is the distraction. You are already whole underneath the noise. Worry is not your truth. It's a mental habit. Once the distraction falls away, you return to the still, peaceful self you were always meant to be. Worry is not preparation. It is postponement. Peace doesn't wait for a perfect future. It begins when you stop resisting the now. You weren't born to carry this storm inside your head. You were born to be present, light, and still, to breathe deeply into life without bracing for what might go wrong. The principles you've just explored are not theories, they are keys, unlocking the doors to your natural, unshakable inner calm. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, trust over control, stillness over chaos, you take a step toward your true nature. Peace isn't built through effort. It is revealed when all the unnecessary weight is released. When you stop worrying, life doesn't just get quieter, it begins to work with you. Now ask yourself gently, what would my life look like if I stopped worrying, even just for one day? Let that question echo in your heart. And if this message gave you even one moment of stillness, like this video, share it with someone who needs peace. And subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more calm, clear, and healing teachings.